Yeah.
Yes. Your mic to you. Yes, no. Robert, go to meeting group. Hi. ये तो बंद कर दो साइलेंट में देखे
Lars-Erik, titta på Godbys hemsida nu.
Okej, jag ska göra det. Vi ska också lägga om vår hemsida. Vi håller på. Hello, Thomas.
Hello.
Thomas is my president.
Forever.
Well, at least 6
Half
months.
a year.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
Good evening.
Lovely to see you all here.
Yes.
So, Varsha, we are starting on time or how is it?
We will start on time. We still have 2 minutes to go.
Okay.
Vivek has joined.
Hello, everybody.
Hello,
Hello,
Smita
hello,
ji.
everyone. As the chapter chair, Caren and Phill, thank you for agreeing to be speakers to our chapter meeting here, and we really look forward to hearing from you and your experiences. And thanks for the work you do for peace. Thank you so much.
How are you, Smita?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you, all the people joining from so many countries here. Anita, right, Brent? Okay, we've met in the global chapter meetings. Thomas, Bad Bookist. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Irene. Once the meeting starts, I won't be able to call out your name. So before that, whoever's names I can call out, I'm calling out. Thank you so much for joining, Megan, Phil, Kat. Thank you, Anne. Oh, Anne, nice to see you here, Anne. Welcome, Mr. Arun Kumar. Hi, KK, our fellow member from the RAGFP board. Thank you so much for joining, Robert. Vivek and Varsha, I'm making you the co-host, so
Yeah, sure.
things forward. Welcome my fellow board members, Vasanti ji, Smita, Varsha, Vivek. Thanks for organizing this in my absence and doing such a wonderful job about that.
Our pleasure.
Hi,
you.
Arzu.
Thank you so much.
Hi, Megan.
Hi.
Hi,
Oops.
Arzu.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Just catching up with things.
Yes, I've been not much dedicated this month. I'm busy personally,
Yeah.
so it's all good going on, and it's good to see you. Are you
Thank
okay?
you.
You're fine.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. Thank you.
I'm outside. Sorry, I can't hear much, but I'll be.
Uh,
I'll be closing my video and the sound. But nice to be in your meeting.
sure,
Thanks.
no problem. No problem.
Yeah, I wanted to thank you also for inviting me and letting you know that I had a lot of fun with the time zone difference. So I was like, this is pretty neat. And I tried to do the math and made it complicated, and all I had to do was just add India to my world clock. But anyway,
Ah,
really neat to be able to learn, about the time zone difference and still be able to connect, even though we're, hours apart from each other. So pretty neat.
yes.
And miles, but close in spirit.
Yeah, this was a pretty early morning for you, Megan, right?
Yes.
No,
Yeah, it's
not
about
well. I was going to say not so much. I'm actually traveling because of Thanksgiving, so I got up
Uh,
very early this morning, like 3-4 a.m. But it's 8:30 where I am, which is like Eastern Standard Time, so New York, Pennsylvania area. So yeah,
yeah, not that bad. Yeah.
not at all, not at all.
Yeah. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Kirti.
Hi everyone. Good evening.
Hi, Kirti.
Hi.
I think we can start, Smita.
All
Yeah.
right. Thank you. So a very warm welcome to everyone. Varsha, Vivek, wonderful job of organizing this and getting us speakers like Phill and Caren. And I'm really looking forward to hear from them. And we have audience from all over the world, and what a fabulous job of collecting people from across the borders to listen to our speakers. We are definitely recording this meeting so that we can share it with broader audience who cannot make it today. So again, a very warm welcome, and I hand over to you, Varsha, so that you can take the proceedings forward.
Yeah, thank you, Smita. We have a wonderful speakers lined up today. So our first speaker will be Caren Stelson. I will request Vivek to first introduce our speaker, and then we can take it forward. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm Vivek Goyal from Rotary Club Jaipur, Downtown, Rotary District 3056. I would like to introduce Caren Stelson. Caren Stelson is an award-winning author of non-fiction books for children and young adults. Her books include Sachiko Nagasaki Bomb Survivor's Story, which was long-listed for a National Book Award, A Bowl Full of Peace, Stars of the Night, The Courageous Children of the Czech Kinder Transport, and the forthcoming picture book, Returning the Sword, How a World War II Weapon Became a Symbol of Peace. Her interest in the history of World War II for young readers began in 2001 when she spent a year in England listening to stories of adults who survived World War II as children. After each person and story, she wondered, how do children overcome trauma? Who and what helps them? Where do they find hope? How do they find peace? These questions propelled Caren to write the stories that matter most to her and for young readers who may be asking the same questions. Caren holds a BA in History, a Master's in Education, and MFA in Writing for Children and Young Adults. She is a former teacher, writing consultant, and a freelance writer. Presently, she is the board chair of World Citizen Peace, a non-profit organization with the mission to empower peace to create a just and peaceful world. Caren and her husband have 2 adult children and 3 grandchildren. and she lives in Minneapolis, Minnesota, in the USA. So I would like to request Caren to start her speech.
Thank you so much, everyone. What a fantastic international group here today. It's morning for me. It's 8:30. I am also on the East Coast, even though Minnesota is my home state. I am here in Boston, Massachusetts, visiting with my children and grandchildren for the holidays. So I'm happy to be where I am and so happy to be invited to speak with all of you. And I am really thrilled to be here with the Rotary Action Group for Peace India Chapter. Such an important meeting this morning for me. Thank you so much for all of you who are listening. I just want to say, by the way, Vivek and I have come to know each other through World Citizen Peace, the nonprofit organization of which I am board chair. The mission of World Citizen Peace, as Vivek mentioned, is to empower people to create a just and peaceful world. And we do this by supporting educators to promote peace education in their schools and community leaders to promote collaborative work that strengthens peace cultures in their communities. We have over 2,000 peace ambassadors around the world who are committed to this mission. And Vivek is one of our strongest leaders in this effort. So Vivek, thank you so much for all your work and commitment to peace. And please know, I am so honored to be here. I'm also really eager to listen to Phill Gittins from the World Beyond War about youth and peace education. What I'm about to share with you is a nonfiction book I've written about a Nagasaki bomb survivor, Sachiko Yasui. I'm a writer, as been mentioned, I'm a writer for children and young adults. I believe the power of story can open our young people's eyes to the world and inspire them to step into it with resilience and courage. We need stories like Sachiko's. I had a recent experience sharing Sachiko's story in Minnesota, my home state in the US. I was asked to give the keynote speaker in the celebration of Gandhi's birthday this past October, sponsored primarily by the Indian Association of Minnesota. So this talk is the one I gave this past October. In what we call the Twin Cities, Minneapolis and St. Paul, the 12 days between September 21st, the International Day of Peace, and Gandhi's birthday, October 2nd, is focused on the theme of peace and nonviolence. So an array of programs and events occur across the Twin Cities during this time, culminating in the International Day of Nonviolence. This year's part of this event, we in the cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul celebrated Gandhi's 155th birthday with you. My guess is that everyone on this Zoom has been inspired in some way by Mahatma Gandhi's philosophy of nonviolence and the deep love of life embedded in the ancient Hindu word ahimsa. Gandhi himself could never have known how many people he influenced to become great peace leaders like Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, John Lennon, to name a brief three of the many, many. How could Gandhi have known the impact of his work beyond his consequential life? He couldn't. But I believe it is the same for us on a much, much smaller scale. We may never know who or how we inspire and empower others, but we must continue on with the work regardless. In so doing, we are part of this unbroken ripple of Gandhi's ahimsa, or at least strive to be so. And this unbroken ripple is what gives me hope. Next slide. I'd
Yeah.
like to share a story about this unbroken ripple of ahimsa that may surprise you, about this little girl, Sachiko Yasui. She was 6 years old in 1945 at the end of World War II. Her home, Nagasaki, Japan. Next slide, please. On August 6th, the US dropped the first atomic bomb over the city of Hiroshima, exploding with a force of 15,000 tons of TNT. 92% of the city was destroyed. Approximately 72,000 people were killed, with many others dying in the months that followed from wounds, burns, and radiation exposure. Next. More apocalyptic destruction was soon to follow. 3 days later, in the late morning of August 9th, Sachiko was playing outside with her friend making mud dumplings when the second atomic bomb exploded over her city. Sachiko and her friends were only a half a mile from ground zero. More than 40,000 people died that day in Nagasaki. Among them were 23 members of Sachiko's extended family, Sachiko's little brother, and her 2 older brothers. They were among the who perished also. Sachiko survived by a miracle. So did her younger sister, Misa, and their mother and father. Next slide, please. As Sachiko and her family were escaping from the hellish landscape of nuclear war towards the rescue train, her father kept yelling out, "Follow me, follow me." These 2 words, follow me, were, for Sachiko, were to become ever more important as the years unfolded. This rendition of the rescue train is what Sachiko experienced. No child, no human being should ever again experience the extreme trauma of nuclear war. But in this story of extreme trauma, Gandhi appears. Next slide, please. Sachiko's father was reading Gandhi during the deadliest war in human history, and he was also studying English. And these activities were against the law at the time. Anything foreign was against the law under the wartime Japanese government. Gandhi's philosophy had touched Sachiko's father, kept him sane, helped him lead his family out of war. Next slide, please. You may ask, how do I know all this? Because I knew Sachiko. I traveled 5 consecutive years to Nagasaki to interview Sachiko between 2010 and 2015 to write this book. As a writer for children and young adults, I knew in my bones we needed Sachiko in America. Next slide, please. Sachiko did not know anything about Gandhi until 1948, when she was 9 years old. And this is what happened. Let me read a little bit. So this is February 1st, 1948. This is the only world we can live in, Sachiko. Never say evil words, otherwise we will not see peace. Hate only produces hate. These were the words Father said to Sachiko, the words he lived by. Each day, Father walked to the public library to study and read the newspaper. And each day he returned home to share whatever he had learned. One afternoon in early February, 9-year-old Sachiko found father outside shoveling rubble to make a new space for a chrysanthemum garden. The news weighed heavily on him. Father put his hand on Sachiko's shoulder. The world has lost a great man. Sachiko was confused by father's words, but she could read his troubled eyes. The great man father was speaking of was India's Mohandas K. Gandhi, or the Mahatma, as the world knew him. Newspapers around the world reported that on January 30th, 1948, Gandhi had been killed by an assassin's bullet. Father had studied Gandhi and his philosophy of nonviolence. His hand still lay on Sachiko's shoulder. You are too young to read Gandhi's works, but one day you must study Gandhi. You will learn something you will need for the rest of your life. Next slide, please. The year before Gandhi's death, Sachiko's father was digging in the rubble of what had been their home for what they had lost in the destruction. He found one and only one item, a green ceramic bowl, a wedding gift that had been given to Sachiko's mother by her mother. By some miracle, the ceramic bowl had survived without a chip or a crack. Sachiko's family used this bowl for everything: meals, washing up, and praying for peace. Every August 9th, instead of going to the Nagasaki Peace Park to commemorate the end of war and the atomic bombing of Nagasaki, Sachiko's family stayed home. Her mother would fill the bowl with ice. All day, the ice melted, and the family would pray for all who perished in the war, and they would pray for world peace. After Sachiko and I worked together for 5 years on her story, I was astonished because Sachiko gave me that bowl as a gift. To me, that bowl was a bowl of peace, the bowl of ahimsa. Next slide, please. When Sachiko was 20, her father died from stomach cancer. Because of the intense radiation exposure, hibakusha, the Japanese word for atomic bomb survivors, experience cancers of all kinds: leukemia, thyroid cancers, many other kinds. Sachiko remembered her father's words about Gandhi, and his words, "Follow me, follow me." After her father's death, she returned to the same cemetery where her family had huddled against the intense heat of the bombing, and she began to study Gandhi herself. Let me share a little bit from the book. Reading Gandhi, Sachiko's heart opened to a new way of thinking, a way of being in the world. Despite the pain she had suffered from the war, the bullying she had experienced in school, the longing for her siblings, it was still possible to love the world and maybe change it. Father had been right. Gandhi could teach her what she would need for the rest of her life. The more Sachiko read of Gandhi, the more she realized she wanted to possess a mind and heart like his. But how? He had written, "Love is a skill. Forgiveness is a skill. The transformation of anger is a skill. All these we can learn." All this can be learned? She would try. Sachiko bought a journal. Each day after work at the accounting office, she sat at the edge of the cemetery to read Gandhi and take notes. She read, "Nonviolence is not a garment to be put on and off at will. Its seat is in the heart. and it must be an inseparable part of our very being. Through her study of Gandhi, Sachiko had come to understand something important: how Gandhi had become Gandhi, how father had become father, and how she, Sachiko Yasui, might become the person she wished to be. Next slide, please. On the 50th anniversary of the atomic bombing in August of 1995, Sachiko, now 56, took the bold step to tell her story of survival publicly and what she had learned from Gandhi. The children of Japan were her primary audience because, like Gandhi, she believed if we are to have peace, we must begin with the children. Sachiko traveled throughout Japan, Canada, and the US. She lectured at many universities about her experience, calling to end any possibility of nuclear war and urging people to work tirelessly for peace. Next slide, please. On one of her trips to the US, I met Sachiko in Minneapolis at the city's Japanese Peace Garden. This was in August 2005. This was the 60th anniversary of the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Sachiko had been invited by the St. Paul Nagasaki Sister City Committee to tell her story to all of us. By the way, the St. Paul Nagasaki sister city, St. Paul and Nagasaki, our sister cities, they are the oldest sister city relationship between an American city and an Asian city. This sister city relationship was established in 1955, only 10 years after the end of war. Next slide, please. After my experience learning from Sachiko, every August 9th, I fill the bowl with ice. I've come to see Sachiko's bowl truly as a bowl full of peace. I know this bowl is filled with hopes and prayers for peace, but there's more. This bowl is filled with an essential skill set for peace and for peacemakers, filled with empathy, compassion, deep listening, respect for one another, respect for the natural world, courage to reduce conflict, courage to find common ground, a profound belief in truth and justice, hope for the future, and much more. These attributes and values are not add-ons or niceties. They are essential for a livable world. They are essential skills for peace. As Gandhi said, peace is a skill we can learn. Next slide, please. I'd like to leave you with Sachiko's words, the words she shared with the children, words that echo Gandhi and her father. She said, the most important thing is to live your life. Life is what is important. And then she would go on to say, remember this, every word is precious. One word can make you feel loved. One word can hurt. One word can make you cry. One word can break your heart. One word can do so much damage. One word can do so much good. Even one word can lead people. One word can protect world peace. Every word is precious. And when you grow up, remember to tell my story. Have your children tell my story, and their children, and theirs. And when we got to that point, I asked Sachiko if there was anything else she would like to share with us. And she said this. Next slide. Core questions. What is peace? What kind of person should I be? Keep pursuing answers to these questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Caren. The whole experience which you have shared of Sachiko is indeed really heart-wrenching, and it would have been definitely a traumatic experience for which she has been able to share with us and with you and through you. You have been a medium through which the whole thing has come to us, and it is really thank you so much for sharing it. I will now
Thank you.
stop sharing the screen, and we will just, I think these questions are really very fundamental, the questions which you have shared at the end of the, maybe we can, if the audience would like to give their comments on Karen's talk, maybe a couple of questions or comments, if there are any, we would love to have them.
Very nice that Caren shared, and targeted children. Two reasons are very nice. One is Sachiko was a little girl, and she showed us that little children can make a big difference. And if little children have this responsibility, they can really create a world beyond war. Thank you. Thank you, Caren.
Thank you.
I wanted to also thank you, author, for educating us today. I was not aware of the rescue train, or that individuals had. Well, I wasn't aware that many had passed, and that many had survived. So it was very powerful for me to learn of that and to see the amazing works and life that still was able to sustain after something so horrific and traumatic. So absolutely, I think that we're to learn from that and not repeat anything like that. And I appreciate you sharing that and educating us.
Thank you. I think this transformation of Karen's journey from anger to love and peace, I think that is a very good takeaway for all of us. Even in our day-to-day lives, very often we face this anger emotion, it is up to us how we take it forward and take it on the path of love. I mean, that's a real eye-opener. I think with this, thank you, Caren. Thank you so much. With this, we'll move on to our next speaker. I will request Vasanti ma'am to take this forward.
Thank you very much. RAGP India Chapter holds monthly meetings where we have two kinds of inputs. One is an education team input, and the other one is a presentation. The idea is when the awareness grows and each one of the listeners here today are able to take these ideas, then we would be able to reach many more people. Phill, I have met him personally in a program as a Rotary Peace Activator Asia cohort, and was very, very impressed with the kind of work they have been doing. They offer a whole lot of programs. And like Caren was saying, between September 21st and October 2nd, India chapter, RAGFP, also organized about 25 different programs as a part of nonviolence, mostly with children. We are delighted Phill is here today. They are doing a whole lot of programs for youth in many countries of the world. And it is very nice that we have him today to explore possibilities of having such a program in India as well. Phill, if I have left out very important portions of your intro, kindly add that and you can start your presentation. Thank you, Phill.
Thank you, Vasanti, and thank you so much for the invitation. And Caren, thank you so much for what you shared. Very inspiring. And I thought your questions at the end were really good, for us to think about what is peace and how do we want to show up in the world? What is our way of being? I think that's a really good starting place. And actually, some of the things that you shared, I know Vasanti made a nice little segue actually to what I'm going to be talking about, but I thought it was really good. So the title of my presentation is called Global Youth Peace Education and Action, and it's actually based on a project which some of the people on the call have already been involved with, such as Azu, one of the board directors from Rotary Action Group for Peace. I noticed Jim was on the call as well. It's a project which is a co-collaboration between the Rotary Action Group for Peace and World Beyond War. So World Beyond War is the organization that I work for. We're a global grassroots organization with membership in 193 countries so far, and work with peace builders and activists all around the world. We specialize in, which probably is the biggest challenge to peace bar none, the institution of war. How do we end the war system? So what I want to do today is talk a little bit about what peace education and action for impact is, a little bit about why we created it, because it addresses gaps both within Rotary, but also broadly within the field. And most importantly, how do people get involved? So since started in 2022, we've actually educated, trained, mentored, supported, impacted youth communities, organizations, including Rotary clubs and districts in 19 countries so far. And some of the most fragile and war-torn, dangerous countries everywhere from South Sudan, Venezuela, Iraq, Haiti, Ukraine, Russia. I'm going to talk about them. But before doing so, please close your eyes for a moment. If you feel comfortable, just close your eyes. And just take a quick breath. Breathe in, breathe out. Okay. Now imagine a time in the future. It could be 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. This time in the future is the best possible time that you could ever imagine. Human rights are realized. Children are playing healthily and happily, and the well-being of the planet is protected. What else do you see? What else do you hear? Who do you see? Just take a moment to think about that. So the best possible future ever that you could think about. Okay, so where are you? What do you see around you? Who are you with? What are some of the things that we need to have this best possible future? Okay, thank you. Now open your eyes. We will all have different visions of what this better future is like, but I want to make a prediction now that none of your visions will be possible without two things. The one is what Caren spoke about and what Gandhi taught us about, the role of young people and children. If we want peace in the world, we need to start with children. And the second one is war, a world beyond war. Any of our visions of peace can never be realized when we have the institution of war. Okay. But the question is, what do we do? How do we go about educating young people to both work for peace and challenge war? And that's what I want to do. So I just want to share my screen just to give you a bit of a perspective more broadly before speaking specifically about the project. So can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can.
Yes?
Yes.
Super, super, super. Okay, so this is the biggest challenge, I think, bar none. Equipping young people with the skills, networks, and support to promote peace and oppose war. And that oppose war is the most important, is one of the largest, most global and important challenges facing humanity. But why war? Why is war so important? Well, think about the existential threats that we face right now. The immediate existential threat of nuclear weapons. We've just heard about that. That has a clear link. That's a symptom of the bigger issue of the war system. Okay, let's think of another existential crisis, climate change, which is not as immediate, but just as dangerous and deadly. That again is connected to the war system because the military is the biggest polluter and biggest user of fossil fuels on the planet. Think about other crises that we're facing. The refugee crisis. War is the leading cause of the refugee crisis. We now have over 100 million, more than that. War is the leading cause of the economic crisis, one of the leading causes of the economic crisis. How are we spending 2 trillion on preparing for war, when if you calculate, less than 1% of that money goes to actual peace building work? War is the biggest cause of death, trauma, and injury on the planet. Another thing, what do we need in terms of all of the crises that we're facing today? What do we need? We need global collaboration. But however, war, and more particularly the system of war, is the biggest reason why we do not collaborate and cooperate on these big global challenges. So hopefully I've persuaded you in terms of why we need to look at, if we're peace builders, then we need to include in our skill set, you're right, Caren, we need a whole lot of different skill sets. We need the idea of how do we go about abolishing the system of war. Now, Gandhi always spoke about the importance of young people, and that's always been the case, but it's particularly the case now. Now, we have more young people on the planet than ever before in the whole of history. So if there's not a better time to educate young people to be peace builders and war abolishers, then there never has been. So hopefully that gives you a bit of a broader kind of context. So the program, Peace Education Action for Impact, was developed with an idea of trying to address, it's a collaboration with the Rotary Action Group for Peace, address some of the challenges and some of the gaps missing, both within Rotary. I've already spoke about one, the focus on addressing war. There's some great work being done, and rightly so, around positive peace and things like this. However, what is less addressed is probably the biggest challenge to peace, which is addressing the war system. So we wanted to address that in our program. Another thing we wanted to address was this idea of intergenerational work that takes place, and also cross-cultural work on a large scale. And basically some of the goals here were education to equip young people as change agents, providing them opportunities to support their development as well grounded and rounded. I'm going to speak about that shortly. Connection, to learn, dialogue with, strategize for change across different cultures and different generations. Rotarians are people of action. So how can we support young people to move from education to action? Those are some of the guiding goals of the program. The program spans 14 weeks, 6 weeks of peace education and 8 weeks of peace action. I'm going to say something about that shortly, but this is the important thing to remember. Not just one person can attend. It has to be a country project team. And each country project team has 10 young people aged 18 to 35 and 4 adult supporters who are usually Rotary presidents or district governors or Rotarian leaders who find the scholarships for young people to attend the program. So they fund young people to go through the project. So, and here's one example, Venezuela. That worked in the 2021 project. So since starting, we've done 2 cohorts that have gone through the 14 weeks. In 2021, we had 12 countries involved, and they were Cameroon, South Sudan, Nigeria, and Kenya, Ukraine, Russia, Serbia, Turkey, with Azuz on the call, US, Canada, Colombia, and Venezuela that went through the project. 6 weeks of peace education and then 8 weeks of action. And then in 2023, we had 7 more countries: Iraq, Haiti, Philippines, Bosnia, Herzegovina, Guernsey, Ghana and Ethiopia. Here's some of the impacts. So over the years, we've trained 200 young people in these countries. We've trained over 100 mentors. So that's Rotarians, basically, or university lecturers or youth workers, community organizers, to work more effectively with young people in peace building initiatives. And the project culminates in peace projects. So the young people have done youth-led, adult-supported, and community-orientated peace projects. And I can give some examples if there's time in terms of, well, what were the projects? the young people did. So a little bit more about the two steps. One, peace education. Two, peace action. So peace education is 6 weeks online. So this is the good thing, that the young people can access the project from wherever they are in the world. And what they do is that they have a chance to interact. This is one of the great things that young people loved. So Venezuela, young people can talk with young people from South Sudan, from Nigeria, from Turkey, etc. And they go through this 6 week developmental journey. What we do in one of the, I think, unique things as well is our particular view of peace education. So I sit on the board of the Journal for Peace Education, and I'm aware of some of the most innovative approaches in peace education. And I think we offer an innovative model which works what we call the knowing, being, and doing of peace building. So the knowing part is the theories, concepts, ideas of peace, conflict, violence, power. What is the peace system? What is a war system? The being part is very much linked to what you were talking about, Caren, really, actually around peaceful ways of being with self and peaceful ways of being with others, drawing on, I know Vizanti's very much trained in non-violent communication, drawing on some of those tendencies as well as others. That's the kind of developmental part, but of course we need the action part. So the other two modules, weeks 5 and 6, look at action, the hands, the doing. How do we design, implement, evaluate a peace project? And as they're going through the 6 weeks, the intergenerational part is that the young people in their country project teams meet up with their mentors to kind of reflect on their material. Peace action is about taking what they've learned, going through the program, and then putting into projects. So they work together across 8 weeks to design, implement, evaluate, and communicate a peace project. And it culminates in an end of project celebration. You might notice some of the photos, some of the people on here. So we've got Azu's there, we've got Jim, we've got Alison, lots from the Rotary Action Group for Peace. Tiana, who you can see there on the left, who's going to be the incoming chair of the Rotary Action Group for Peace. She was one of the participants in the Serbia team. So we've had lots of the leaders from the Rotary world and beyond. So it provides an international platform for the young people, Rotarians that support young people, to present their work on a global scale to a global audience. So that was another benefit for the project. So the question is, what do we want to do now? The question is, what we're working with is Rotarians and other organisations to offer the project to more young people in different places. And this is what we'd love to be in contact with India about. We're thinking between 5 and 10 countries will be involved, and we're already in advanced discussions with Pakistan, Egypt, Ghana, and Honduras, and actually Wales as well, that are also interested in having a country project team. So to have a country project team, you need to find the scholarship, so $300 per student to go through the 6 weeks of peace education and then 8 weeks of peace action and all the support that goes with that. So access to the material, the curriculum, etc. Maybe I can say a little bit more about that. Okay. So why India? Why are we interested in India? Well, one, I can tell you, I've been in conversations with people from India for a long time, including Rotaract, including Rotarians, who've always said, we really want, to have the peace education experience, peace education action for impact experience brought to India. Well, why India? Well, one, you know this much better than me, you have the largest youth population on the planet. So you really should be a model for others to follow in terms of educating young people around both pro-peace and anti-war efforts. And the anti-war and pro-peace together are both important. It's an opportunity for you as the Rotary Action Group for Peace India Chapter to align with the broader Rotary Action Group for Peace work. We have an MOU with the Rotary Action Group for Peace for this project, while also being introduced to things that you won't get within the Rotary system. So we draw on the best of ideas and talents within Rotary, including the great work of IEP, Positive Peace Activators, but also from outside, from the best of the peace field. So World Beyond War is the organisation I work for. We're a leading peace building and anti-war organisation, and we've won multiple awards for our innovative approaches, including the Global Educators Challenge for our innovative approaches to addressing global issues such as nuclear weapons, such as climate change and anti-war work. Opportunity to support youth leadership, peace and anti-war work, and connect some of the young people in India to other projects and other young people outside of India. Respond to community needs, so the young people will design and implement projects. And I don't know if you know, but Jan is actually the co-chair of the Youth Advisory Council for Rotary International right now. She's from India, and she's been one of the ones that really has been trying to work with young people who want to bring the project to India. So what does it mean bringing the project to India or enabling young people to be involved? Well, each country has a country project team made up of 10 young people. So that you can see there on the right-hand side, and they commit to go through the entire project, 6 weeks of peace education and 8 weeks of action. But they need, of course, scholarships. They need Rotarians to invest. So they can invest in terms of their time and also finances, $300 per student to go through the project. So $3,000 for one country project team. But also they need mentors and coordinators to support them as they go through the journey. And one of the other kind of impacts that we found from this project is that not just the young people learn a lot, but actually the Rotarians and the adult supporters that support the young people learn a lot as well, because it's quite an advanced program drawing on the best of from the peace building world. And the coordinators act as kind of overall coordinators for the project, not working with young people on a day-to-day basis like the mentors do. I know Vivek and I have been in touch and Vasanti about these, and we've got specific roles and responsibilities that the country project teams abide by. So that's a little bit of an overview of Peace Education Action for Impact and any important information for people that might be interested in being involved. Some of the next steps, what we're doing now is that we're in contact with the country project teams with regards to who wants to have a country project team in the next cohort starting in February. So we're doing recruitment. It's actually started in October. That's why, hence we're actually doing a project right now, a 6-week project with Pakistan and Rotarians in Pakistan around peace education and with several universities. But we're in advanced talks with other countries, but we'd really love to have an India team, and we'd love to hear from you about working together to try and have an India team. So we want to try and make sure that we get the country project teams kind of finalized by, I would say, end of December if possible, because in January we do advanced training for mentors and coordinators who want to work with young people through the process. So there's a little bit about how to get involved. Here's some of the next steps. Here's some of the timings. So the project starts in February, runs for 6 weeks, and then the peace action starts from the middle of March for 8 weeks. I think that is it. I think that's it. So hopefully, let me just come off sharing the screen. Hopefully I've shared a little bit with you in terms of what Peace Education Action for Impact is, why we created it, and how it differs as well as building on some of the great work already being done within the Rotary system, but how it offers something different and how you can get involved. So thank you for listening.
Thanks, Phill. That was very
screen.
Over to Kit.
Sorry. We can take a couple of questions for Phill. Yeah.
I had a question. Hi, fantastic presentation and program. Thank you for all that you do in our community. So I was inquiring about the action aspect to the projects. Are these projects that'll be implemented or encouraged to be implemented within their own country? Is there a limitation to that? Can you tell me a little bit more about, are there boundaries to the projects and what maybe some of them have looked like?
Great question. Great question. Okay, so a couple of things. One is, as they're going through the project, they learn about, Jim's on the call as well, who knows this inside out, our seminal book, A Global Security System, which lays out a blueprint for ending war and establishing a just and sustainable peace. Now, the young people are encouraged to frame their project around one of the 3 broad strategies. Now, one of them will be demilitarizing security, another one managing conflict without violence, and another one creating a culture of peace. So they frame it around one of those three broad strategies. But we say that the project can be global, regional, national, or local in scope. You decide. It's contextualized. So, of course, the needs in South Sudan are different to the needs in Venezuela. So the countries put together context-specific projects. So, for example, Nigeria, they have a massive issue around school kidnapping. So what they did is that they wanted to find out why is there so much school kidnapping taking place. So they actually worked with policymakers, schools, police officers to do some research and then come up with a policy brief to try and improve the situation. Ukraine and Russia had a joint team, so 5 from Ukraine, 5 from Russia. They decided to do some conflict resolution training where those from Ukraine actually zoomed in to those in Russia and taught schools in Russia about conflict resolution and vice versa. Those from Ukraine taught those in Ukraine. Those in Russia taught those in Ukraine. The US had a country project team. Some of them were artists. And what they wanted to do was use some of their creativity. And they actually developed an album called Peace Accords. And some of their songs kind of drew from what they'd learnt on the project. So, for example, one was Inner Peace, a song. Another one was The War System. Another one was Negative Peace. So the projects are really, really context specific. And they're meant to be done within the 8 weeks. And all of the, touch wood, all of the country project teams, the 19 countries that have been involved so far, did them within the 8 weeks, which is great. Great question.
I can see one question from Robert in the chat. Is Robert there?
I've just seen Rukmini was on the call as well. who's on the current board as well. She's just saying she should dropped off the call. Rukmini is another brilliant peace fellow.
Yeah, I think he's saying without using Rotary Way, is there we can register use directly to the program to benefit since peace is threatened always and even peaceful countries are not safe.
Hi, this
Sorry,
is
I missed
Lisa.
that. Sorry.
Can I come in? Is it okay?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Hi, it's a little bit less of a question, but I'm hoping I'm going to be attending. I'm from Barrington in Illinois in the United States. I'm going to be attending the Peace Conference in February. And I'm just hoping if anybody on the call is going to be there, maybe we could connect and talk about some of these things. Phill, I don't know if you're planning on attending. I'd love to connect and hear more about these projects. And I'd love to connect also with the US country project team if it's possible.
Yeah, so I don't know if others want to respond to that. I won't because I'm going to Bolivia in a couple of weeks for some projects, Bolivia and Colombia. So I won't be probably back in time because we're working on a number of different projects, maybe Venezuela as well. But with regards to your second point around connecting, happily to connect you. Please, I've shared my email in the chat. So please, whoever wants to reach out, we'd love to collaborate and work with you. There's some brilliant people on this call doing some wonderful things. So we hope that we can collaborate more.
I'd add one more question, and I don't want to sound negative at all. I just want to cover all grounds because safety is important, and it's important to be able to communicate that so that individuals feel empowered and encouraged to really innovate. Are there opportunities, for each one of these countries and these teams? Are they going to be provided with someone that they can reach out to if they experience any type of severe harassment, discrimination, any type of, if they were to experience any violence while working on this project, is there someone trusted, within perhaps each government or someone that they can, a department that they'll have something easy to resource if there's an issue?
Yeah, that's another good question as well. So obviously the first kind of principle of any peace building work is do no harm, and that includes those the people actually doing the work as well. As people are going through the projects, so the 6 weeks of peace education and 8 weeks of action they can reach out to people at World Beyond War as well in terms of extra support, as well as the coordinators and mentors. I'm a trained psychotherapist by training as well, so I am qualified and well positioned to support people with these kind of issues that do come up. But so are many within, World Beyond War and further than that as well. One of the things I would say about, you're just making me think actually, in terms, because your question before asked about the projects. Haiti, for example, they had to be really careful in terms of their projects because they couldn't leave at certain points, to actually do the projects because they were under real threat of being killed, basically, So we said, first and foremost, the most important is keep yourself safe, and always be aware of that, and we actually look at things like that in the project in terms of doing a needs assessment, a self-assessment and a needs assessment. And that includes ensuring that you're doing no harm to yourself and others and things like this. So I think that's good. Another thing to say is that it's 18 to 35 for a reason, because of the youth workers. So it's quite difficult working with young people under the age of 18 at times. So, and the third thing I want to say is love your dog in the background, by the way, so cute. I can see him now and again in the back. So it's proper cute. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think we have had a wonderful session today. Both our speakers, I think there was an underlying theme of children and the youth. Caren, she shared her experience of Sachiko, and there it was definitely, about children. And in fact, Phill has shown us a proper path, how we can go ahead and educating the youth. So thank you. I will now request Secretary Kirti for the formal vote of thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Varsha. Good evening, everyone. 26/11 today is a very special day for us in India, especially in Mumbai. We all think of peace every day, but today, when we think of 26/11, some years ago, it was a horrifying day. So I begin with paying tributes to the people who suffered in the 26/11 attack on Mumbai 11 on 26/11. Caren, you were really very narrative and very nice. We were so much involved in your story that we felt it should not get over. And it brought tears to our eyes. Yes, we must do something to help the youngsters to get peace. Let the peace prevail. Thank you, Caren, for a nice story of Yashiko. Dr. Phill, you were very clear about what we actually were looking forward to, how we can go about. The chapter is new and we also want to learn a lot. And thank you. We are learning from good speakers like you. Here I want to express a special word of thanks for Rotarian Varsha and Rotarian Vivek and the entire membership committee of the chapter who are taking special pains to get good speakers for us, like the last meeting and also this meeting. Varsha and Vivek, we look forward to many such fruitful meetings henceforth. Our next meeting will be on 17th of December. I express my gratitude to all the international attendees. I was very happy to see people from across the borders joining the meeting. Welcome all, and thank you for being a support to the chapter. Thanks to the RAGFP members from India who joined. Yes, we all are learning and we will. I want to conclude with a word of thanks to each and everyone who made this meeting a very interesting one. And yes, of course, a prayer for the peace for all. Let peace prevail. Sarve loka sukhina bhavantu. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for the lovely meeting. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone. Thank you so much for joining.
Bye.
Varsha, should I close the meeting? Is it
Yeah, I
okay?
think we can close it here.
Yes, yes.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.